What's up, coin collectors and casual scroungers alike? Today, I'm about to blow your mind with a coin that could have you swimming in cash. Yeah, you heard that right. One penny could be worth a cool million. Sounds too good to be true? Well, buckle up, because we're talking about the 1965 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just run to your couch cushions to see if you've got one of these hidden gems. But before we dive into this penny's wild story, let me tell you, I've been there. I've had those moments where I thought I had a rare coin, only for it to be worth, like, 10 cents. Ever find a coin you thought was going to pay for your vacation and then realize it's just a regular penny? Guilty. But hey, today's different. All right, let's get into it. In 1965, the US government started producing pennies without a mint mark due to some changes in how coins were made. Now, most pennies from that year have a mint mark, signifying they were produced either in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But the 1965 no-mint mark penny? That's where the magic happens. Here's the deal. In 1965, the mint accidentally produced a batch of pennies that were missing the mint mark altogether. Now, this wasn't supposed to happen, and they're super rare. Think of it like finding a missing sock in the laundry, except it's a really valuable sock. Seriously, though, the 1965 no-mint mark penny has become one of the most sought-after coins for collectors. And get this, the current market value? You could be looking at a whopping $1.5 million for just one of these pennies. Yup, you heard me right, $1.5 million. That's enough to buy, like, a whole fleet of Teslas or a seriously overpriced cup of coffee at one of those trendy cafes in the city. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I know if I have one of these magical pennies? Great question. To figure that out, all you need is a magnifying glass, or a really good pair of glasses, no shame. Just check the obverse side of your penny. If you can't find a mint mark near the bottom, boom, you may have struck coin gold. But keep in mind, not every 1965 penny without a mint mark is going to be worth millions. A lot of them out there are just regular old pennies. But if you've got one that's in mint condition, oh boy, it could really make you some serious cash. Now, let me tell you a little story. Back when I first started collecting coins, I found a penny from the 1960s in my grandma's old jar of coins. I thought I had struck gold. I dusted it off, looked it over, and was like, this could be my ticket to riches. Well, it wasn't. It was a 1964 penny. So, yeah, not exactly the jackpot I was hoping for. But here's the thing. When you're looking for rare coins, it's all about patience. Sometimes, it feels like hunting for treasure. You sift through a ton of pennies, nickels, and dimes, and then, boom, you find something that might just be worth a fortune. That's the magic of coin collecting. And the 1965 no-mint mark penny is the ultimate treasure hunt. So here's the bottom line. If you've got a 1965 penny with no mint mark, it could very well be worth up to $1.5 million, depending on its condition. And while it's not likely you'll stumble upon one of these bad boys in every coin jar, it's always worth keeping an eye out. Who knows? The next lucky penny could be sitting right there in your pocket. Want more coin tips, strategies, and insider secrets on how to find treasure in your change? Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on an opportunity to turn your pocket change into a fortune. Because trust me, I've got plenty more where that came from. 1979 have in common? Well, sit tight, because I'm about to drop a bombshell that'll make you look at your old pocket change in a whole new way. We're talking about a penny that's worth more than your average dinner at a fancy restaurant. No, seriously, this coin could be worth millions. Yup, you heard that right, millions. Stick around, and I'll show you why that dusty old penny might just make you a millionaire. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, a penny? My grandma gave me like 100 of those last Christmas. Well, buckle up, because today, we're diving into the 1979 D-Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, aka the coin that'll make your piggy bank very happy if you happen to have one lying around. Cuts to host sitting at a desk with a few coins scattered, holding up a 1979 penny with a friendly smile. So, let's break it down. We're not talking about your average, run-of-the-mill, everyday penny. No. We're talking about the 1979 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, one of the rarest and most valuable pennies you could ever find. In fact, these bad boys are worth way more than their face value, like more than the cost of an entire pizza party worth. Now, before you start digging through your change jar like a maniac, let's talk about what makes the 1979 D so special. The coin was minted in Denver, and it's actually pretty common. But there's a small group of 1979 D pennies that have something different. Some of these pennies have an error, specifically a double die obverse. This is a fancy term for a printing mistake, where the image of President Lincoln gets stamped twice, giving the coin a little extra flair. It's not just a mistake, it's a treasure hunt for the eagle-eyed coin collectors out there. And guess what? One of these error coins, in mint condition, practically untouched by human hands, could fetch you a cool $1.80 million. Yeah, you heard me right, folks. You could have a tiny piece of history worth more than your entire car. Now, let me hit you with a personal story. A few years ago, I thought I found the mother of all treasures when I dug up a penny from 1980 in my grandmother's old couch cushions. I was sure I was holding a gold mine. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But hey, I learned something that day. It's not just about finding pennies, it's about knowing which pennies to look for. But let's talk about how to find these million-dollar gems. When you're hunting for a 1979 D penny, you'll want to make sure you're looking for the double die error. If you hold it under good lighting, you should see some visible doubling on the word Liberty and In God We Trust. The key is that the doubling is sharp, not just a faint shadow, and it's best found on coins that are in great condition. So clean those pennies carefully. No finger marks allowed. Now, let's talk numbers. These error coins don't pop up every day, but when they do, they go for big bucks. A 1979 D double die penny in mint condition can go anywhere from thousands of dollars to, yep, you guessed it, $1.8 million. No, that's not a typo. Just imagine going to your local coin dealer with a simple penny that you've had for years and walking out with a life-changing amount of cash. So, the moral of the story is this: don't just toss your change into the nearest jar or piggy bank. Take a second look. That penny you've had for years might just be a rare gem, and you could be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. And hey, don't just take my word for it. If you've got that 1979 D penny, take it to a professional. Get it checked out, because one person's junk is another person's jackpot. Now, before you go off to search your drawers and couch cushions for that elusive million-dollar penny, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got more awesome tips, tricks, and strategies coming your way on coins that could make you rich. Well, relatively speaking. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a coin worth way more than you expected. I'd love to hear about your wildest finds. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Keep hunting, and may your coins be ever valuable. 1987 No Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Stick with me. This penny's gonna blow your mind. Is this just a regular penny, you ask? Well, not quite. This one's got a secret, and that secret is worth more than a small house. All right, so here's the deal. We all know pennies, right? They're the little guys that seem to multiply like rabbits in our pockets and couches. But what if I told you that a penny from 1987 could be sitting in your change jar, just waiting to make you a millionaire? Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't every penny made by the US Mint? Well, yeah, but not all of them are perfect. In fact, most pennies from 1987 have a mint mark, a tiny letter, like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, right under Lincoln's shoulder. But here's where it gets good. Some pennies, just a few, don't have that mint mark. And that's where the magic happens. That, my friends, is the 1987 No Mint Mark penny. The thing is, this little guy was supposed to be produced in Philadelphia, but during a certain period, the minting process went a little haywire. They didn't put the mint mark on some of the pennies, which made these puppies super rare and highly collectible. But you're probably asking, how in the world did they end up worth $1.5 million? Well, that's a story for the ages. You see, collectors have long had a thing for errors. Anything that's different or, in this case, missing something can make a coin valuable. So, if you find one of these 1987 No Mint Mark pennies in your pocket, congratulations. You just found one of the rarest pennies in circulation. And let me tell you, I found one of these in my pocket once, or at least, I thought I did. Turns out, I was just staring at a regular penny for a solid 5 minutes, waiting for my million-dollar moment to come true. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. But hey, it was a fun 5 minutes. All right, let's break this down a little further. The 1987 No Mint Mark penny is valuable because of how rare it is. When you think about it, only a small number of these pennies were made with no mint mark. The others, as expected, had the D or S mint marks, and they're worth about face value. So don't get too excited if you find one of those in your change. But that elusive no-mint mark? That's the one that gets the big bucks. Now, it's not like every 1987 no-mint mark penny will sell for a cool million. But collectors have gone crazy for these rare coins, with some of them fetching prices as high as $1.5 million at auctions. In fact, in 2018, one of these coins sold for a staggering $1.5 million, setting a record for the highest price ever paid for a penny. Can you imagine buying a coffee with one of those and then realizing it was worth more than your entire apartment? Yeah, I'd be freaking out too. So, how do you know if your penny's the golden ticket? You need to check for that mint mark. If it's missing, you'll want to double-check the coin for authenticity, because fakes do exist. Look for any irregularities or signs that it could be a legitimate error. And if you're really serious about finding out, getting the coin professionally appraised is your next step. All right, now you're probably going through your change jar right now, flipping over every penny with a magnifying glass, right? And that's exactly what I want you to do. If you happen to have a 1987 penny without a mint mark, well, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. Now, keep in mind, just because it doesn't have a mint mark doesn't mean it's instantly worth a fortune. But it's a rare find, and if you ever come across one, getting it appraised could open the door to some serious cash. You never know, folks. That penny you're ignoring might be the jackpot you didn't expect. So, next time you find a penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment, look at it carefully. Who knows? You could be holding on to the next million-dollar coin. Now, if you want more tips on coins worth money, and let's be real, who doesn't? Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because I've got a ton more coin secrets up my sleeve. Trust me, you won't want to miss out. Drop a comment below if you've ever found something crazy in your pocket change. I love hearing your stories. And hey, if you do find a 1987 no mint mark penny, let me know. I'll be your first phone call when you hit 1.5 million. Catch you in the next video. 1988 Lincoln 1-cent penny, without a mint mark, is currently worth a whopping $1.4 million. Face screaming if you're a money ag, I know. I know. You're probably sitting there like, wait, what? A penny? Really? Well, get comfy, grab your magnifying glass, because we're diving deep into this tiny treasure and exploring how your regular old pocket change could be your ticket to the big time. Let's get into it. So let's break this down. The 1988 Lincoln penny, right? Looks just like the one sitting in your change jar or stuck in the bottom of your couch cushions. It's copper, it's shiny, and honestly, it probably isn't even worth a second glance. But there's something special about one tiny detail, or should I say, lack of detail. Most pennies are stamped with a mint mark. You've got the famous D for Denver and the S for San Francisco. But the 1988 penny we're talking about here? It's missing that mint mark altogether. Nada. Nothing. Zilch. I know, it's wild, right? I mean, how could a tiny absence like that send a coin's value into the stratosphere? Well, this no mint mark version of the 1988 penny is what collectors call a die error. Basically, when the coin was being made, something went kaput with the machine, and it didn't stamp the mint mark like it was supposed to. And boom, you've got yourself a 1 in a million collectible. Okay, so here's a funny little story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandma's attic, and I found a jar of old pennies she'd been collecting since the 70s. I'm talking dusty, crusty coins. But in the middle of the junk, I found one single 1988 penny. Of course, I didn't think much of it. I tossed it in my pocket and probably went on to buy a 99-cent taco. And let me just tell you, the regret is real. See no evil monkey, I mean, that could have been my ticket to a new car or at least a vacation in the Bahamas. But nope, $1.4 million slipped right through my fingers, and I'm still stuck with my 2003 Honda Civic. Life, am I right? Anyway, back to the serious stuff. It's been reported that only about 2 of these 1988 no mint mark pennies have been found in circulation. So you can imagine how rare and valuable they are now. In fact, one of these coins was sold at auction for, drumroll, please, $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny. That's more than most people's student loans, am I right? Now, I'm not saying you should rush off and start checking every 1988 penny you find, but hey, it's worth a glance, right? These rare coins pop up when you least expect it, and if you find one, you could be rolling in cash faster than you can say inflation. So how do you know if your 1988 penny has no mint mark? It's easy. Flip it over and take a look at the reverse side. If you don't see the mint mark where it should be, congratulations. You've got a coin that could potentially be worth over $1 million. But don't get too excited just yet, folks. You also have to make sure your penny is in mint condition. So, no cleaning, no scrubbing, no polishing it up to make it look shiny and new. In fact, cleaning it could actually devalue it. And trust me, we don't want to do that. It's like putting your rare baseball card through the washing machine, not the move. So, what's the takeaway here? First of all, check your pennies. Like, really check them. Who knows? The penny you've been using as a paperweight could be worth more than your whole entire house. Or maybe you'll just find a nice, clean, shiny penny that's worth $1. Either way, you'll know a little more about the world of coin collecting, and that's never a bad thing. Now, before you go running to check every penny in your pocket, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more coin tips, tricks, and hidden treasures to share with you. And who knows? The next video might just have the key to unlocking your own fortune. 1989 might be worth more than your car, your couch, and your coffee addiction combined. I know, right? Stick around, because today we're talking about the infamous 1989 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, which, wait for it, can be worth up to $1.7 million. Yeah, million with an M dot, but first, let's take a minute to explore how a simple penny turned into a legendary coin that's making headlines. Grab your magnifying glass, and let's dive into this story. All right, so here's the deal. The 1989 no mint mark Lincoln penny is an absolute anomaly. Usually, if you look at the back of a penny, you'll see a little D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, but in this case, there's nothing. Zilch. Nada. Zip. The thing is, the absence of a mint mark doesn't happen by accident. In fact, the 1989 pennies were supposed to be made in Philadelphia, and guess what? At least one batch went out without the expected mint mark. This tiny little flaw, this missing detail, makes those pennies absolutely priceless today. Now, I know what you're thinking, how could I possibly have one of these rare pennies in my coin jar? I've had the same thought too. I'll tell you a little story. A few months ago, I was at my grandma's house. You know, the place where you find everything: old buttons, rubber bands, and a lot of dusty pennies. Anyway, she gave me a jar full of pennies to just get rid of, and I started sorting through them like it was a treasure hunt. For hours, I was thinking, wow, if only there were some rare 1989 no mint mark pennies in here. Spoiler alert, I didn't find any. But that's the thing, you never know. And that's why it's worth checking your change and your coin jars. So, why does this penny, with no mint mark, fetch such a high price? Well, it's because it's rare. Like, really rare. You might not believe it, but there are only a few of these babies out there. And every time one hits the market, collectors go absolutely wild. Some estimates say there are only around 10 to 20 of these mintless pennies in circulation. So yeah, if you find one, you've basically hit the jackpot. As of right now, the 1989 no mint mark penny has been auctioned for as much as $1.7 million. I'm not joking. That's a lot of zeros. For something that weighs, what, like a gram? You could buy an entire car, a vacation, or, hey, even a house with that kind of cash. Imagine going to the store, buying a cup of coffee, and paying with that one freaking penny. People would flip out. You'd be like, yeah, don't mind me, just casually changing my life with one penny. Okay, now you're probably sitting there, flipping through your wallet like you're on a treasure hunt, hoping for a miracle. Hold on, don't start looking at the edges just yet. There are a couple of things you need to look for if you think you might have a 1989 no mint mark penny. First, check the date. It has to be from 1989. Second, flip it over, and this is the important part. There should be no mint mark on the reverse side under the 1-cent text. If that's the case, congratulations, you might have just struck coin gold. Just a quick note, not all 1989 pennies without a mint mark are worth millions. A lot of them are just normal mistakes, and they won't fetch a high price. But there are a few that have been officially graded and authenticated, and those are the ones you need to keep your eyes peeled for. So, what have we learned today? The 1989 no mint mark penny is one rare find, and if you've got one, you might be sitting on a small fortune. From being just another penny in your jar to potentially worth over $1 million, it's proof that sometimes luck really does come in small, copper packages. Now, before you go running to your couch cushions or digging through that change jar, let's talk about the future of your coin collection. If you want to learn more tips, tricks, and strategies for spotting valuable coins, and who wouldn't, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you're always in the loop. Every coin has a story, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next big discovery. 1994 penny, to be exact, could be worth a whopping $1.5 million. Yeah, you heard that right. $1.5 million for something you'd probably toss into a fountain wishing for good luck. But before you go digging through your old change jar and throwing your back out, let me explain. Grab your magnifying glass, because you're going to want to see this. Quick cut to close-up of the 1994 penny, as if it's the most precious thing on earth. All right, first things first. The 1994 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny might sound like a boring old coin to some, but trust me, this little guy has more drama than an episode of The Bachelor. Why? Because it was supposed to have a mint mark, but it didn't. And that, my friends, is what makes it an accidental treasure. So, back in 1994, the U.S. Mint was cranking out pennies like they were going out of style. They had the D mint mark on pennies from Denver and the P mint mark on pennies from Philadelphia. But, plot twist, some of the pennies that rolled out that year accidentally didn't have any mint mark at all. And I know what you're thinking. How does this happen? Well, the mint wasn't exactly running a perfect coin-making machine that year. Something went wrong in the minting process, and a small batch of these pennies were sent out into the wild without their D or P. No mint mark means rarity, and rarity means value. Cut to you picking up a 1994 penny and squinting at it like you're Sherlock Holmes. Now, let me tell you a story. A couple of years ago, I was at a local coin show, and by local, I mean this tiny little event where the only snacks were stale pretzels and lukewarm soda. So, I'm chatting with this dealer, and he casually mentioned something about a 1994 no mint mark penny. I just stared at him like he had three heads, because I thought this penny thing was some sort of joke. I mean, how could something as small as a penny, especially one from 1994, possibly be worth anything? But sure enough, he pulls out a 1994 penny with no mint mark, and he says it could be worth up to $1.5 million. I almost spit out my soda in disbelief. I thought it was just a prank, but nope, it wasn't. Some of these pennies have gone for crazy amounts at auctions. Yep, $1.5 million. So now I'm thinking, all right, is my entire life a lie? Where did I go wrong? Why didn't I just sit on my couch in 1994, waiting for these pennies to start piling up? But hey, no time to dwell on the past. It's all about looking forward and checking your change jar. So let's talk about how to spot these million-dollar beauties. First off, you need to look closely at the penny. We're talking serious detective work here. Grab a magnifying glass, or, if you're like me, squint real hard. What you're looking for is a missing mint mark. Typically, you'd see a little P for Philadelphia or D for Denver under the date. But if there's nothing there, ding, 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 you could have yourself a rare one. Okay, now, I can already hear some of you saying, but wait, how do I know if my penny is actually worth $1.5 million? And here's where the plot thickens. Not all 1994 no mint mark pennies are worth that much. We're talking about the mint condition ones, the ones that look like they were just made yesterday. The less wear, the better. And if your penny has that shiny new look with no mint mark, that's what we call a lucky find. So, to sum up, check your pennies, check your change jar, and if you happen to find a 1994 penny with no mint mark, don't toss it. It might just be your ticket to a small fortune. And hey, if you're like me, and you can't be bothered to sit around looking at pennies for the rest of your life, don't worry. There are plenty of other coins that are just waiting for their big break. But that's a whole other video. So, before you get back to your coin hunting adventures, make sure you hit that subscribe button right below. You'll get all the latest tips on coins worth money, rare finds, and maybe even a few more weird and wonderful stories from my personal coin collecting journey. 1996 D mint mark penny could actually be worth $1.80 million? Yup, you heard that right, million with an M. I know it sounds like I'm about to sell you some fake get-rich-quick scheme, but I promise you, this is legit. So, how does a humble penny get to be worth so much? Stick with me for the next 10 minutes, and let's uncover how you might have struck gold without even realizing it. All right, before you go rummaging through all the pennies in your jar, let's slow down for a second and take a deeper look at why one particular 1996 D penny is so valuable. It all starts with the minting process, so get ready for a little coin nerd talk. Don't worry, I'll keep it light. So, every penny minted in the US comes with a small mint mark, usually found right below Abraham Lincoln's shoulder on the front side of the coin. The mint mark tells us where the penny was made. You've probably seen these marks before: P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and so on. Most pennies, like this one from 1996, have a D mint mark, meaning it was struck in Denver. But here's where things get interesting. Out of the billions of 1996 D pennies that were made, a small handful were produced with a mistake. A very unfortunate and amazing mistake, something we call a double die error. Basically, the die that stamps the penny wasn't aligned properly, which caused the image of Abraham Lincoln's face to be doubled up on the coin. Now, this doesn't sound like much, but for a coin nerd, it's like finding a hidden Easter egg in a video game, like a power-up that makes your coin super valuable. In this case, the error on the penny turned out to be incredibly rare. Imagine going to a store and paying for your candy bar with a normal penny, and the cashier goes, "Hey, wait a second. This penny is worth $1.8 million. And you're like, "Oh, this old thing?" But seriously, only a few of these double-die 1996 D pennies have ever been found. And the one that was sold at auction for $1.8 million is practically a legend among coin collectors. Now, before you start checking your coin jar for one of these, let me tell you, these pennies are really hard to find. There are only a couple of known examples of the 1996 D double-die error, and most people who have them probably aren't selling them anytime soon. But here's the thing. You might still have some rare coins in your collection right now that could be worth a lot more than you think. I had my own moment of discovery, right? I was going through some old coins I found in my grandmother's attic, and I thought, hey, why not see if any of these have any value? You know, just for fun. Turns out, I had a 1943 steel penny. Now, that one isn't worth millions, but it was still worth a few $100. Just goes to show, it's always worth checking your change. Now, I'm not saying you're going to find a $1.8 million penny in your couch cushions, but hey, coins are like little time capsules. They hold a bit of history, and sometimes they hold a bit of unexpected value. So to wrap things up, if you've got a 1996 D penny, check it closely. Make sure it's not one of those rare double-die errors. And if it is, well, you're one lucky person. But even if your penny isn't worth a small fortune, it's still fun to know that there could be hidden treasures lying around in your spare change. If you want more tips and tricks about coins worth money, or maybe you just like learning about random stuff that could make you rich one day, subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button, ring the bell, and get ready for more coin stories, tips, and maybe even a few more shocking finds. Who knows? Your next find could be waiting in that jar of loose change you've got sitting on your dresser. 2002 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny that could literally make you a fortune. Grab your magnifying glass, folks, because we are about to get into the wild world of rare pennies, and this one is about as rare as it gets. Alright, so before we go full treasure hunt mode, let's break it down. We all know the usual Lincoln penny looks like this, right? Abraham Lincoln, right in the center, looking all presidential. Nothing fancy here. It has a little D or S mint mark under the date if it was made in Denver or San Francisco. But wait, what if I told you that one specific penny from 2002? Yeah, 2002, not 1922 or 1969, is out there in the wild with no mint mark? And that penny could sell for a cool $1.6 million. Let's get one thing clear first, though. This penny isn't just some regular old 2002 Lincoln. It's a 2002 no mint mark penny. That is what makes it special. And no, it's not some mistake. The 2002 penny was supposed to have a mint mark, but somehow, a tiny number of them didn't. It's like when you forget to sign your name on a test, but somehow, that test becomes the test everyone wants to cheat off of. Yeah, I know, it's like coin collecting has its own version of FOMO. So here's the mystery. In 2002, the Philadelphia Mint was making the pennies, and usually, Philly pennies don't have a mint mark. But for some reason, a few of those pennies were stamped without any mark at all. Normally, these coins would be just fine, but it turns out the ones without the mint mark are incredibly rare, and now they've become worth more than gold, literally. Fast forward a few years, and one of these special pennies was sold at an auction for a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. No joke. $1.6 million. That's enough to buy a small island, or a really, really fancy car, or a lot of pizza. You get the idea. But that's the price these bad boys can go for in the right market. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, I've got a bunch of pennies in my jar at home, and I'm about to go dig them up. Well, hold your horses. Not every 2002 penny is worth $1.6 million. You've got to find the right one. The no mint mark penny is super rare. It's like finding a unicorn in a field of horses. Now, to find this treasure, you'll want to look closely at the date and make sure there's no mint mark. Keep in mind, not every no mint mark penny is a fortune either. The condition of the penny matters. A well-worn penny won't fetch anywhere near that $1 million mark. So, if it looks like it's been through a couple of decades of bad decisions, let's say tossed in the laundry or chewed on by your dog, you're probably looking at a more sentimental value, not a financial one. I've definitely found my fair share of dirty pennies. I mean, once I found a penny in my couch cushions that was so crumpled, I thought it had been through a fight with a waffle iron. But hey, even those pennies have a place in my heart. I'm always checking my spare change. I've actually found a couple of cool coins over the years, but sadly, none of them turned into a yacht or anything. But hey, it's about the thrill of the hunt, right? Okay, so let's break down how you can check your pennies and make sure you're not leaving a $1 million coin in a dusty jar somewhere. First, check the date. Is it 2002? Look for the mint mark. Is it missing? Inspect the condition. Does it have a crisp, clear design, or is it all bent and dingy? If it looks promising, send it to a professional for grading. Just to be sure you're not getting played by a penny that looks rare but isn't. And hey, I know you've got a whole jar of coins sitting in your closet. Maybe it's time to pull it out and give it a good old-fashioned inspection. All right, if you're sitting on a 2002 no mint mark penny, I hope it's the one that's going to make you millions. But even if not, the world of rare coins is full of unexpected surprises, and there's always something new to learn. Don't forget to check your change and keep that magnifying glass handy. And if you want more tips on how to spot valuable coins, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss the next big coin discovery. Stay lucky, keep hunting, and who knows? You could be the next millionaire coin collector. 2060 mint mark Lincoln pennies lying around. Your piggy bank might just have the golden ticket. Stick with me because by the end of this video, you'll know how to spot this rare gem and maybe even cash in on it. Let's get into it. But first, let me ask you, have you ever found a coin that made you think, this is it. This is the one that's going to retire me? Yeah, me neither. But one lucky person did just that with a 2060 mint mark Lincoln penny. Crazy, right? Let me break it down for you. All right, so you're probably wondering, what makes a 2060 mint mark penny worth $1.5 million? Well, let's take a trip down memory lane. Back in 2006, the US Mint produced billions of pennies, so many, in fact, that you probably couldn't toss a coin into a wishing well without hitting at least 10 of them. But not all pennies are created equal. Some are, how should I put it, more special than others. Smiling, so what's so special about this penny? Well, it all comes down to a tiny little mistake, one so small, it probably slipped under the radar of most collectors back in the day. You see, the 2060 mint mark Lincoln penny that's worth a small fortune has a double die error. Basically, during the minting process, the design was struck into the coin twice. It sounds like something that would happen in a factory, but it happens more often than you'd think, just rarely enough that it makes this penny a gold mine. That error? It makes the penny more valuable than most cars on the road today. And here's the kicker, the person who found this beauty? They didn't even know what they had at first. Yup. They probably tossed it into a drawer somewhere, thinking it was just another penny. Fast forward a bit, and bam, $1.5 million later, they're sitting on a gold mine, literally. Laughing. Now, I don't know about you, but the last time I found a penny on the ground, I was just happy to get it for the vending machine. This person probably needed a new wallet after they cashed in. But how do you know if your penny is the golden child? Let's get into the specifics. All right, so here's what you need to check. First, flip that penny over. If it's a 2006 with the D mint mark, you're halfway there. Next, get yourself a magnifying glass, or if you're feeling fancy, a microscope, because we're looking for that double die error. What you're looking for are extra, blurry details on the letters and numbers. For example, the Liberty or the In God We Trust might have a faint second image. It'll look like it's been stamped twice, and that's the moneymaker right there. But here's the thing. Not every 2060 penny is going to make you a millionaire. Oh no. The condition of the penny matters too. The better the condition, the more it's worth. If your penny has been rolling around in your pocket for 10 years, it might not be fetching any million-dollar bits. But hey, it's still worth checking. After all, one man's junk is another man's treasure, right? So, here's the deal. The next time you're flipping through your loose change, or, let's be honest, your grandma's old coin collection, keep an eye out for those 2006 Mint Mark pennies. And who knows? You could be the next lucky person to cash in on a coin worth a small fortune. But even if you don't find a million-dollar penny, you might still have a collection full of valuable coins you didn't even know existed. Remember, you're not just collecting coins, you're collecting history. Every penny has a story, and with a little knowledge, that story could make you a whole lot of cash. So before you toss that pile of change into a jar, take a second to give it a closer look. You might be holding on to something that could change your life. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll be sharing more tips, tricks, and strategies for finding valuable coins in your pocket change. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. All right, folks, that's it for today. Keep your eyes peeled, your magnifying glass ready, and your wallet prepared for some serious upgrades. I'll see you in the next video. 2014 No Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny that could make you a millionaire, if you find the right one. Let's break it down in the next 10 minutes. Stick around, because trust me, you won't want to miss this. So here's the thing. Most of the pennies you see lying around are pretty much worth exactly 1 cent. You know, the classic copperish color, stamped with a mint mark that tells you where it was made. But what if I told you there's a 2014 penny that's missing that mint mark? Yes, folks, that tiny D or S is missing, and that makes it worth a whole lot more than you might think. Now, let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my desk drawer, the one with all the pins, old receipts, and hundreds of pennies that I swear never made it into the piggy bank. I almost threw out a few 2014 pennies, thinking they were just, average. Then, my buddy called me up and was like, "Hey, some of those 2014 pennies could be worth a fortune, right?" And of course, I'm like, yeah, right. Like I've got one of those rare, unicorn pennies. But let me tell you, I got curious, and guess what I found? I didn't have the 2014 penny worth millions, but I did have a few more pennies worth more than face value. So today, I'm here to help you avoid making the same mistake I almost did. Let's talk about that no mint mark penny. Normally, pennies made in 2014 have a mint mark. The mint mark tells you where the coin was produced. For example, D for Denver and S for San Francisco. But in rare cases, some 2014 pennies were made without any mint mark at all, and that's where the magic happens. It's like finding a rare Pokemon in your backyard, except it's a penny instead of a Pikachu. Now, you're probably wondering, why is a 2014 penny without a mint mark so valuable? Well, in 2014, the US Mint was going through some changes. They accidentally produced some pennies without the usual mint mark. But here's the kicker, they didn't notice at first, and it wasn't until collectors started noticing that these coins were becoming, rare. In fact, some of these 2014 no mint mark pennies are worth as much as $1.70 million. Yeah, you heard me right. 1 cent could get you $1.70 million. But let's be real here. You're not just going to walk into a convenience store and find one of these bad boys in your change jar. No. To find a 2014 penny without a mint mark, you've got to keep your eyes peeled. You might have one sitting in a jar of loose change that you never paid much attention to. I mean, who knew we'd all be digging through our penny jars like pirates hunting for buried treasure, right? Now, before you rush to your local coin shop with every 2014 penny you can find, let me tell you that not all of them are worth $1 million. The value depends on a few things: condition, rarity, and, of course, if it's the actual no mint mark variety. So check your coins carefully. A well-worn penny with no mint mark won't fetch you millions, but a shiny, pristine one? That's where the magic happens. So here's how you can check if your 2014 penny might be worth something. Grab a magnifying glass and inspect the reverse side of the coin. If there's no mint mark under the United States of America inscription, you might be holding on to a potential fortune. And, of course, always check the condition of your coin. A perfect, uncirculated penny is more likely to be worth more than a heavily worn one. So what's the takeaway here? Keep an eye on your pennies, especially the 2014 ones. It might not be as exciting as finding a gold bar, but hey, $1.7 million for a penny? That's not too shabby. And before you run off to inspect your coin jar, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because I've got more tips and tricks coming your way on coins that might just make you rich. Trust me, there's always something hiding in plain sight. So, here's to hoping you find your own little treasure in your pocket. And don't forget to comment below if you've ever found a rare coin. I'd love to hear your stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips on coins worth money, strategies, and all things rare. And hey, keep checking your change. You never know what might be hiding there. Catch you next time.